Welcome to the Wing Life Podcast, where we talk about wing foiling and the lifestyles of those who enjoy this great sport. All right, sir, welcome back. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me here again. It's been a while since our last chat. Not
It
too
has
long.
been. You're wrapping off a pretty cool event. And I'm wearing, you won't be able to see my hat because we're on off video right now. But I got a pretty cool Armstrong hat on. So they were one of your sponsors for this event, I heard.
Yeah, exactly. Armstrong has been supporting the event in Dakhla, Morocco for the second time in a row. And we're quite happy about that. Armstrong is a brand that's getting more and more involved in the Wingfoil World Tour, having more and more athletes riding on their gear and some of the top guys. And obviously the wave discipline is their favorite one. Where they have their strongest roots. So after last year supporting the event, they have chosen this year to support it again because, as I think a lot of people know, the events, the wave events of the Wingfoil World Tour, this year and also last year, they were run together with our sister tour, the GWA Kitewell Tour, which means that in the locations we ran the Wingfoil Wave Discipline World Cups, the pure surfing locations, we were running in the same event window a Kite World Cup and a Wingfoil World Cup on the same setup. Obviously not on the same day, but we were using the same setup, which makes it easier to realize this event because wave events are some of the hardest to realize because it's usually remote locations. It's usually longer events that are more expensive, and like this we can save costs and make two events happening. And I think Dakhla
Yeah,
Morocco
big time.
has now proven that it's an amazing spot for wing foiling in the waves, and maybe even better than for kiting because the winds are actually quite gusty because it's a right hand point break that breaks into a bay. But on the wing, these gusty winds don't matter as much as on the kite. So once you're on the wave, you can pick it up further outside. The long waves run 300 to 400 meters into the bay. Really long right-hand waves. Some of the rides are a minute or longer. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's very close to the beach. It's nice to watch. It's not a super busy place, and the whole setup is really convenient with the hotel West Point Dakhla. The hotel which hosts the event is right on the point, so everybody stays in the bungalows and then hotel. And if you have, let's say, the privilege to have one of the bungalows in the first row, you even can watch out. Still lying in bed, you can watch out and you see the point, and where people take off on the
So
wave.
that was yours.
Um, yeah, one of those, not the only one.
Hey, really nice. That's awesome. How so what kind of winds did you expect? Is it wind swell? Is it ocean swell like for people who haven't been there?
Yeah, so the spot is located. It's Dakhla is on the most southern tip of Morocco. For those who know Morocco a bit, they know it's on the west side of Africa, northwest side of Africa, but it's a really long stretch that goes down from the Strait of Gibraltar, um, basically starting in Spain, all the way down to Dakhla, which is more or less the end of Morocco, the southern part. But this stretches down, I think, nearly 2,000 kilometers, the country, 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers. I'm not sure about it. So it is really exposed on the western, northwestern side of Africa, close to Cape Verdean Islands and Canary Islands, which means they pick up north swells. And now we are getting into northern hemisphere winter. That's the time where usually the north swell starts to, start to work. So in the summertime, it's a really windy place. Dakhla in general has the special setup that is it's getting more and more popular with water sports, kiting and windsurfing and wingfoiling, because it has those spots on the coast where we run the wave discipline, but it also got a lagoon inside, a huge lagoon with many hotels that provide also wingfoil gear and schools and lessons, which is a really safe place to learn. It's super flat and the wind is even stronger. And
Hmm.
yeah, and it's we are so people that travel to Dakhla usually they can move around and then wing foil and ride at different spots. So it's a really nice place. It has this desert vibe, Moroccan Oriental, uh, atmosphere. So with dunes, and it's a rather dry place. Doesn't have a lot of rain. The city is growing a lot, and
Mm.
now the flight connections get also better. It used to be a really hard place to get to. I mean, by car from the other places in Morocco, like Rabat and Marrakesh, it's like a 10-12 hour drive. Well, now there are flight connections every day. So it is a lot easier. The airport is like 10 minutes more or less from West Point, where the competition has been taking place. And
That's not too far.
yeah, and we're depending, as I said, we're depending on these north shows that are just starting, usually around this time of the year. And the forecast has been very poor. You know, when I was looking at the forecast the whole 1-2 weeks before we headed out to Morocco, I was like, damn, doesn't look good. You know, it's a point break that needs a certain size of swell to actually work. Otherwise, we would need to move to other spots, which doesn't make it so easy. Um, and yeah, we went to the event not having actually the greatest expectations, but it turned out to be quite a bit better than we thought, and we got actually a couple of decent days where the swell cost forecast wasn't as big as the year before, but we got nice overhead waves on a couple of the days. It changes a lot also with the tide. So with the
Okay.
foils, we were restricted to run on the high tide mainly on the smaller days, because tide difference is 2.5 meters there, and it's a big sandbank that shapes up the wave nicely when it's on low tide, but it's getting really really shallow. So at one point we always had to stop wing foiling during the day when the low tide came in too much, and we started too many of the riders hitting the falls on the sandbank in the heats. We stopped and then switched obviously to kiting, where the depth of the water is not such an issue, and started again next day on the
True.
wing foil side. Also by running the competition, a first time thing we tried, that we ran overlapped heats, because we know usually we have on wave events the heats are long. You need, let's say, 18-20 hours of pure competition time, and with only those couple of days in the window we had with the swell forecast, we really wanted to make the best out of it to provide quality for as much of the competition as we can. So we started trying a
Makes
new
sense.
overlap format where those watching the live stream have probably realized it's the same system that's also run in WSL if they need to speed up things, where you have one heat running, and at the middle, once it's the middle of the heat, the next heat already gets into the water. So you have actually then two heats running at the same time, overlapping, always half the heat overlapping, and then the next heat gets in, and so on. Where the first heat in the water has priority over the other one. That which means, though, if one rider wants to pick up a wave and it's a competitor of the first heat, he has priority over the guys in the second heat. So the first half of your heat, you would have priority. No, sorry, the first half of the heat, you would not have priority, because still the heat, your previous heat, has priority, and you can only take the leftovers, let's say. And then the second half of the heat, you have priority, and you can take the waves, and the others have to basically take the leftovers. And this has been working really well, because what it does, it allows us to actually extend the time of the heats and run longer heats than what we would do on the normal system, and gives the riders more time in
Mm.
the water in the heat. But in total time, because you don't have transitions, you save probably 30-40% of the whole duration which the competition takes. So you can nearly run a 24 rider competition in a day
Wow. Okay.
like this, and this is helpful, obviously.
Hmm.
So we have been trying that for the first time. We know we have prepared also our scoring system for that, and I mean, obviously, on the live stream, you will then also miss a bit of waves, and it cannot be possible to stream every single wave, because sometimes things are happen too quick. But we were very happy with the outcome and how it worked out. We didn't have really a lot of issues with it. We also thought we might have a lot of interferences, that riders going to drop on each other, because you have four people in the water at the same time, but they were all respecting the rules, and there wasn't any real issue with that. So yeah, the competition and the conditions have been actually a lot better than we expected it to be, and I think it was especially amazing to see also on the days that were not that the top days, with the best conditions, like how good the performance in general of wing foilers nowadays is in surfing, and how good you can make it look.
How's that coming along? Like the stuff that we're seeing now with everybody is insane. Foil slides,
Yeah,
freaking almost surf style top turns where they're snapping the foil out of the water and jumps,
yeah.
and it's progressed quite a bit in a year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are seeing a steep evolution in the wave discipline. I've been saying that, I think, in our chat that we had after Cape Verde, where this year that was the first wave event and we had sick conditions. It was big, it was like powerful, it was like proper big surf. And where I said, well, last year we were starting the wave discipline, kind of showing or wanted to know if our athletes or wingfoot athletes can actually perform in proper waves and not only ride mushy onshore. And it's been kind of,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we go to Cape Verde, are these guys actually able to ride in Cape Verde, in Ponta Preta, in a heavy wave? And this year it was in Cape Verde, this was not the question anymore. It was more about where is the limit and how crazy the performance can be. But that was Cape Verde.
It's
I mean,
insane.
Dakhla is also a really good quality wave, but it is a softer wave. It is slower. It's a more playful wave. It allows you to ride more technical, more tricky, show more maneuvers on the wave. And I think that's what we got. That's what we saw. We saw that now foiling gets more into surf style, like you say. You want to hit the lip. You want to do those foil out or tail out, whatever you want to call it, slides, airs. So it's been really a different game to Cape Verde, and it was not about so much, going as critical as Cape Verde was all about. Like how deep in the big waves the guys were
Mm.
going. It was really about the technical aspect, and I think it also showed a lot of new faces that we had in this event. We had again a huge number of people who wanted to enter. We had riders from Japan. Uh, we had a couple of guys, or six guys, I think, from Maui this time at the event. And the Maui gang has, I have to say, was pretty much ruling
Yeah, how are they
the
doing?
event this year. Yeah, the boys were ripping. I have to say, it was really, we had Cash obviously as the main representative already on the tour last year, but we had Cash, we had Otis, we had both Spencer brothers, Liam Corral, Austin Kalama. So quite a bunch of Maui people on this event, and they are used to this kind of conditions, and they were all performing super well. I mean, just showing Cash and
Awesome.
Otis, two best friends, in the final of the men's division. These guys grew up together, and they also told me, even both their parents were there, and they said, like, this is really special. These guys know each other from
Mm.
small time in the kindergarten, I don't know. And they have
Yeah,
been
that would
surfing
be pretty
together,
epic,
and
wouldn't it?
now they ride a final together. This is for something really, really special. We didn't realize that. I didn't know this background story. They just told me afterwards. And yeah, they were just having fun, and they were giving it all. And yeah, and also on the couple of other guys, the third guy on the podium was Leon Schiel. I mean, Leon, he's 14 years old, that boy. Last year he was like frothing to enter in 2023 on the wave events, and he was, because our age limit is 14. Last year he was 13, so he could only enter one or two times because he got a wild card in the end because the spot got open. But usually, if somebody is under 14, we don't let him enter, only unless there's nobody with the age that wants to go. So he got lucky last year to
Hmm.
get in at some events, but this year he is the first year that he has the age and he can compete on all the events. And he made his first podium, third place, at 14 years old in the wave discipline.
Oh,
So
no
coming from
way.
the UK,
That's epic.
yeah. So
Come from the UK to
it's been
boot.
an yeah, exactly. It's been a interesting competition. I really have to say, with new faces showing. There's so many new guys that we don't haven't seen yet on the tour that have the potential to be in the top, and we want to see them back. Um, so that's really cool. And also on the girls' side, we had actually quite a few girls more competing this year than last year. Now they're getting the hang of the wave discipline too, with good performers. Obviously, Elena, she won in Cape Verde, she won again. She's hot for the title. Um,
Hmm.
on the women's side, I think now she has two events, two wins, one more event to go. It's not done yet, the deal, but it's looking pretty solid for her. On the men's side, yeah, Cash, obviously, he was only second place in Cape Verde, and he won now in Morocco. But Malo, who won in Cape Verde, yeah, had kind of an early exit for him. He I don't remember exactly who he lost to, but yeah, in this heat he didn't perform up to his standard, and he knew it, and he went out. The level was really high, not getting a finish that he was expecting, and not giving him enough points. Which doesn't mean he's out of the title race, but it's going to make it a lot harder for him now to take it in Brazil.
Hmm.
He will probably not be able to make it out of his own effort. He will depend on the other guys having bad results and him winning if he wants to get the title this year.
Okay, leaving the door wide open for Sir Cash. Did you see his movie that was recently put out by Armstrong?
Yeah, of course, one of the best.
It was good, eh?
You're talking about the one in South Africa, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely,
Yeah, I saw that.
definitely
Yeah, I saw it in Hood
one of the
River.
reddest wing foil action I have seen ever. Absolutely nuts.
So overall, what are kind of outstanding? Are there any waves that stand out? Any kind of times during the heats that stand out the most during the contest?
Uh, yeah, that's always a difficult question, I think. I mean, obviously, I'm not seeing every heat and every trick that's happening, I'm not a judge, so I have to also do focus on other work parts during the competition runs, but I try to follow as much as I can. And yeah, I would say not calling any. I mean, we had a 10-point ride by Cash, which was outstanding wave. I mean, the way he performed on that wave, which was not, as I said, a Ponta Preta 4 or 5 meter monster wave. It was just technically perfectly written, and he gave him a 10-point score. I think it was a lot about this event, about doing airs. And as you know, by the rules at the moment, the boys and the girls are both the same rules, are still not allowed to at the moment to use the wing during the airs. So they cannot do airs with the wing sheeted in, which would, like windsurfing style, which would allow them to go much bigger. They have to do it purely with the power of the wave, which is way more technical. But we saw amazing airs like this, air 360s, even backflip attempts. We'll see. It will be discussed at the end of the season if this rule might be changing, because we see the development going in that direction. But obviously, we want to keep the wave discipline really surfing orientated, and don't want to create another freestyle discipline, and have riders just doing the most technical jumps on the wave. There is another discipline for that. But we can see the shows going into air game, and that's where I think the evolution of the sport is going. But even without the use of the wing, yeah, you could see guys flying over the wave, carving 360s, yeah, and a lot of other creative stuff that we have seen.
I like the handle format, and I think a lot of other people do as well, because it is more of a pure surf environment rather than just another freestyle. But I've heard a couple people say that. But
Yeah, I mean, also within the riders, we've been discussing this topic at each event, I can tell you, and it's not that all the athletes are actually of one opinion on that either. There are some that
really,
really want to push for being able to use the wing for airs, because they can go huge. I mean, you've seen footage from Cash in South Africa, for example, doing massive airs, and it looks spectacular. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
looks
That's true.
huge. I mean, no question. But there is also a big group inside the athletes that are actually saying what you just said. They say, hey, we should keep it pure surf, and if you can pop and do airs with the power of the wave, that's fine. But once we're allowed to use the wing, we'll get a lot more freestyle element in it. I mean, there are still ways to regulate
Yeah.
it. I think that's where I personally see it right now. If we will allow, maybe next year that the use of the wing for airs is allowed and you can grab the power handles to do airs, then you can go higher and, it will make a spectacular show, but it should still be only rewarded if you do it in the critical part of the wave. You don't want to see guys or girls 30 meters away from the peak popping a backflip on the wave because that's a freestyle move. That has nothing to do with wave riding. That shouldn't score much.
Yeah, like more similar to windsurfing when you have off the lips or goiters or 360s or whatever, right? Like they're only doing it in a couple critical sections.
But yeah, it's a discussion that will, at the end of the season after Iberakera, I mean, we're going to the next event already in a week's time, 10 days, where we crown the world champion. And then we were going to recap on the season. We're going to talk, about the new rule book for 2025. And this is probably the most discussed topic on the wave discipline for sure. Despite on the choice of spots, because I think at the moment we really keep it on prime conditions. All the wave events are in conditions with
Hmm.
real surf spots. But this is also another topic if we should run wave discipline maybe in spots which have more onshore conditions and are still wave riding, but maybe not down the line side off.
Yeah, it's a good point. So you have that as a topic, whether or not you'll be able to use handles as a topic. Anything else that's standing out behind the scenes that you might want to tweak or change or
Yeah,
for
I
next year?
mean, there's another big topic which is not as technical when it comes to the riding, but it's a very obvious one is that the demand on uh, on athletes that want to enter the Wave World Cups is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, we don't have any other discipline where more people try to get into an event than in the wingfoil wave discipline. And because the competition takes a long time in waves, the heats are long. We're running 20-minute heats, for example, in Dakhla, and you need these nearly 20 hours of competition time to run. Um, we have limited it to 24 riders. Only 24 people per gender can enter, but we have 50, 60, 70 male riders that want to enter. So we have a video application system, and a lot of them send in videos. And actually, it is a fact that when we do the video selections, so the entry allocation you have right now is that 12 riders come from the ranking. And then you have 10 wildcards, which are partly video selections and partly GWA selections that are not only based on video. And then you have the local wildcards, which are two. So that makes a 24 fleet for a World Cup. But we have 20, 30 people in the waiting list with a decent level where you say, well, not all the 20, 30 maybe, but quite a lot of them, you would say, wow, those guys actually have a decent level and they should be in the World Cup, but we don't have more spots. So this is an issue that we are still trying to solve because there are some good guys that have level to be on the world tour and can't get in that easily because of the hard
Hmm.
competition fighting for the spots. So this is also like a big topic that we'll consider how we're going to go on about it for next year. Um, Either opening up the competition to more riders, but as I said, this will lead to needing more time and might put in risk not getting a result and not finishing the
I
competition,
see what you're saying.
which is which
Okay.
which is even worse, or you need to run in worse conditions to finish it. You might need to push and then let's say now you can do a competition in 2-3 days, and if you double the number you need 4 or 5 days, and maybe you start off in good conditions, and once you get to the best heat, semifinals, finals, you have to run in hip high waves because there's nothing on offer anymore.
Yeah, so
So we
the
want we want to
period's
also
gone.
keep the quality,
Hmm.
and keep it elite and keep a good show. So this is one option we could go. The other one would be, to find a different qualification system. To run maybe trials before the events, but also running trials It's not done in a day usually. So that means you need to. That's one problem on the organizer side of you. We need to run a trial at the spot before the World Cup. Let's say, okay, you have a trial, and out of the trial, another four guys that do the trials can enter the World Cup. You keep four spots open for them. Will
Okay.
require a day or two or three if you're in the spot where the conditions are not. I mean, imagine Cape Verde in Ponta Preta. It doesn't work all the time. It only works if the swell is big enough. So you probably need a week
Hmm.
to be able to run trials. In addition to the World Cup week already. So this, doubles quite on doubles, but puts the cost quite much higher. Of course, you don't need the media crew, but you need the judges and those things on site. So this is all money the organizer needs to put up. And um, what comes with it as well is that in the end, it will favor those guys who can travel to these trials more easy, because not everybody will
Yeah,
go,
so you're
let's say,
saying.
from Japan to Cape Verde or Morocco just to do trials and hoping he gets into the World Cup, spending all this money just to go into the trials. You will go there if you know
Yeah,
you're
I
in and
see.
you got your World Cup spot. You will spend the money and you come. But just going there with having a shot in the trials, where maybe 20 people are in the trials and only four of them enter, so you know you got a 20% chance. How many people would make use of that? And then it would favor those people who basically live in that country or are close and can travel there over those who need to travel from the other side of the world. That's why I
Hmm.
think at the moment with the video applications we do, this gives a fairly similar chance to everybody, because everybody can produce videos at his home spots and send them in and show that he can ride and he has the level. Obviously, some people, live in Mauritius. Some people live um, in the Mediterranean, and it's not the same conditions, and the action will look different. And we need to compare that. Um, but in the end,
Oh,
it gives everybody a very simple way to send in a qualification that will not cost them a lot of money, and you can kind of fairly compare it.
are you getting all different kinds of video applications as well? Like the quality of the video? Like obviously some people are sending in what drone footage, other is it are you getting some stuff where they're just filming on shore if they don't have the equipment necessary? Like how are you taking all that stuff into account?
Yeah, of course, there's different footage. Ideally, it's filmed from the beach. What we are not allowing is selfie GoPro footage, um, because it doesn't, you cannot really see the riding that well if somebody rides with a camera in his hand.
Hmm.
So most of it needs to be filmed from the beach. Obviously, we will allow. This was also one of the discussion, but that's really a detail. We were not allowing drone in the beginning, but there are obviously spots. I mean, Mauritius is a good example. The reefs are 1.5 kilometer out. Um, there is no other way to film it than with a drone. So if you want to get footage,
Yeah,
you need to use
exactly.
a drone. And
Hmm.
so this is allowed or will be allowed. But yeah, it is. It needs to be clearly. We are looking at unedited footage because we don't want to have like major editing affecting the judging in a way. So it needs to be raw footage. It needs to be. It's
Hmm.
like a heat. So riders can submit four videos, four different waves, each four different waves that can be ridden. Ideally, it should be at least a two-turn wave and not just showing one turn in a wave. That's not counting really. So it must be two or more
Okay.
turns on a wave, and two scores count. So if somebody sends four videos, then they are judged by our judging panel, and like in a heat, the two best waves are counting, and these scores are added up to the final score of the video. So it's judged like a heat in competition, and then we have a ranking, and then the guys with the best videos get in. It's
Now, if you're
pretty,
accepting 10, you were saying there were about 30 plus videos that you were receiving?
yeah, I would say. I mean,
Okay.
there are also people that register for event without video application. As I said, we are not, the selection is not only based on video, because we know that some people might not have the same possibilities of producing videos. So there is also wildcards that are up on us that we can choose, where we say, okay, we want to bring somebody in because he is from an interesting country, or because it's Kaileni and we want to have Kaileni compete. So people that are important for the event, we say, okay, they bring a lot of media attention, or there are names in other sports, and we want to see them compete. Or it's a hotshot where we have the feeling we should give him the opportunity because we think he can do really good in the future. So these are not
Okay.
only based on video. So there are a certain number of spots that are only based on video, and then there is these other wildcards that, for example, also but that was one of the organizer wildcards. The presenting sponsor like Armstrong, if they pay for the event, they got a wildcard that they can put one of their riders in that wouldn't make it otherwise.
Okay. All right.
So
And you're getting a lot more ladies coming to the big show as well now for waves? Because it was like even
yes,
talking to Bo before, she was a little bit concerned that a lot of her friends are reticent, but we're seeing the numbers increase.
yeah, absolutely. There is actually in Dakhla we had quite a few girls that came for the first time, and we had a good number. I mean, we are not full at the women's side yet, but it's increasing, and there's also more and more of the freestyle girls that get into waves, which is good to see.
Mm.
Plus a couple of new ones that actually don't do freestyle and just do waves. But I think it depends on the spot as well. Cape Verde is definitely a harsh place. If you fall, you get on the rocks. It's not something. It's not an easy wave. It's a really powerful wave. Dakhla is a way
Hmm.
more easy wave, I would say. Easygoing wave, sand bottom, um,
That
and I
sounds
think
better for
that's
me too.
also. Yeah, no, it's an amazing place, and even the hotel, that runs the event has also told us clearly that since the Wingfoil World Cup is there, they can see a clear increase in the number of wingfoilers that come to the hotel, stay at the place because they know the GWA comes
Oh,
there,
that's awesome.
and those guys. So we can really see the effect of the event being there, having an impact on tourism for wingfoilers. And when we did the first event there, we were the first people who wingfoiled there in the waves. And now, yeah, there are recreational riders that just want to ride waves, and they've seen the pros there on the live stream and the photos and the videos, and now they go there on the holidays, and it's a great place for that, for wingfoiling, for kiting, for surf foiling. It is I wouldn't say the best wave in the world, but it's a very good wave, because there are others that are similar, I think. But it is a very decent spot that allows to really progress in foiling. And
Hmm.
yeah, we are very happy with that outcome, and also the organizers see that the foiling is growing in Dakhla. So the next thing I hope we're going to see in the next years coming up is that also more Moroccan athletes actually get the
Hmm.
opportunity to train there. And we had a meeting with the president of the Moroccan Sailing Federation, and there are some plans to install not only for wingfoil but a water sport academy in Dakhla, focusing on board sports and training Moroccan athletes in
Oh, that would be
wingfoiling,
awesome.
kiting, and then giving them the opportunity, having equipment for them to be able to train because the conditions are perfect. And as I said, there are multiple spots. It's not only West Point where we run the wave competition. You got Lagoon, which is perfect for freestyle, which is perfect for slalom, which is good for downwinding. The ocean. Couple of the Maui boys, they brought their and the Frenchies as well. They brought their downwind sub boards as well, and they did a few downwind runs. 20, 25K down the coast, ending up in West Point.
Oh,
Drove
wow.
the car up, and because you have wind all the way down the coast, it's 20 to 30 knots and a nice wind swell. So conditions for all these sports are ideal. And this place is getting more and more important.
Were you able to do any kind of cultural, like I saw a couple of videos there that you guys had on of some camel riding with Cash and some of the other guys and gals.
Yeah.
And so, what kind of interactions were you able to provide the athletes and whatnot this time?
Yeah, we always try at each event. This is a big part, to have, yeah, let's say to link up with the local culture. And Morocco is an interesting place for a lot of people, something new they haven't been before. The food, the people, the desert, the animals like the camels. And
Hmm.
yeah, we didn't have too much time, as I said, because we were quite busy with running competition, but we took a bit of time to take a few of the riders around. Dakhla, you got camels, you can do camel riding, you can it's known for oysters, so there's big oyster farms. There are like a couple of restaurants where you basically eat oysters fresh out of the sea. Um,
Oh,
we've
nice.
been going, it's an Arabic town. We've been taking some into town, having camel kebab and eating some of the local foods. Um, and then you have, yeah, this whole Moroccan culture. I think there's a lot around food. It's a lot around music, and the desert. I think this is the special part. But we have not had the time to do it probably as big as we wanted to. We also had a couple of interactions with school kids. So 3 of the days of the event, we
Okay.
had local kids from school coming over, actually really different ages, from super young ones, 6 7 years up to 18. And
Hmm.
they've been interested in seeing the sports, and we had some interactions with our athletes. We did a beach cleaning together. We tried to get them into the sport and showed them, the athletes were brought their wings, and the kids could hold it. We didn't put them on the water, but they could just try to jump on the beach with the wing. And yeah, as I said, we really, one of our missions is also to make our sports more accessible for those people who are not into it yet.
For everyone, right?
Uh, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's actually I had. Have you ever heard of the organization called We Can Foil? They're out of Canada.
No.
I'll have to link you up with Greg, and then Og as well. They're two guys that are running um, this not-for-profit organization that is helping people get into foiling. So it could be dinghy foiling, windsurf foiling, wing foiling, and they have partnerships with different brands, and it allows them to set up these hubs and work within sailing centers or yacht clubs around Canada. So I'll link you guys up because I think there could be a really fun conversation there to be had. But I just
Yeah.
had them on the podcast last night and they were introducing it. Once again, just grassroots programs trying to help people get into the sport. So yeah, I'll connect you guys afterwards. But so overall, the event went well. Obviously, Cash, Elena take it, which is pretty exciting to see. And Maui, that it was must have been pretty neat to see that whole Maui team, kind of everybody all competing well. Like even
Yeah.
that's Dave Kalama's kid too, right? Like absolute legends. So
Yes.
it's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good group of boys. I have to say they are real fun, and you can see
Mm,
they all hang out together back home as well. And yeah, they've been performing, all of them, really strong. You could really see that this is an upcoming group. They have also, it's interesting, they have a bit of their own style of riding as well, because you can see they train with each other and like how they ride and
oh,
what
I
they
see what you're
try to
saying.
do on the
Yeah, yeah,
wave.
yeah.
So it's a little bit different to, you also have the Frenchies always training with each other. So you could nearly see a European style and a Maui style, although it's still the same discipline, but you could see the
Yeah.
influence. Um, and that's always interesting, because then at an event, now I think everybody realized it was a lot about air game on those waves, and
Hmm.
now you can see everybody training in that direction as well. You can see where the big scores came from, and yeah, we were also running on one of the last days a surfoil competition, live streamed it even, which was fun, where all the Maui boys were in it. A prone foiling competition, and well,
This
a
is
lot
new.
of our wing foil wave competitors are into prone foiling, obviously. And we've done this the last
Hmm.
years as well, but we didn't, like promote it that much. And this time we had it on the live stream, and we had a really really good show. And the boys loved it. Conditions were fun. It was not windy that day. The waves were a bit smaller, but good enough for foiling. And um, yeah, with a format similar to wing foiling, but they were allowed to link to waves, so you could ride a wave and then pump back out and jump on the second one and basically make it one score. Because that's the beauty of surf foiling compared to surfing now.
But they were allowed, like I saw some of that, and they were allowed to use straps and whatnot, right?
Yeah, this was totally open to them. Some
Okay.
were using straps, some were
Okay.
using strapless. Um, Obviously, airs without straps count higher than airs with straps. But for sure, you can do
Makes
other
sense.
stuff. I mean, you will not do backflips strapless. So if you want to try that, you need straps on it.
Hmm.
But it was like, I would say 50-50 or 60-40, like strapless to straps, what they chose.
Interesting.
A lot of
All
the
right.
good guys were
And what
actually
kind of?
riding strapless.
Oh yeah. Okay. And some of these new kind of actually hitting the lip maneuvers and stuff, all that. Did you anticipate it getting to this level? Considering last year we weren't even sure if it would get mainstream enough. You know what I mean? We're like, we're not sure. But now it's insane. It almost seems like the evolution of surfing if you look at it. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you can really see the use of the foil now being more and more similar to a fin. Where you really
Hmm.
want to breach the foil. You want to slide it. You want to spray. And I think the perfect wave is the combination of all. You want to see some really hard carving, critical fast turns in the pocket. Then you want to see, deep riding, hitting the foam, sliding the foil, because it shows you have control. And I think the equipment also developed
Hmm.
a lot better to deal with that and allow this. I mean, I remember when I started wing foiling, once you hit the foam, that was it. That was the end of your ride. There was no way you could get out of that on a foil and control it.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's true.
now, they do it on purpose because they have so much control on the
Hmm.
foils that they can hit the foam and the white water and still ride out of it. And then you have the airs. So these are the combinations, I would say, on that come together for a good score. And reading the wave and connecting the right parts of it, and power, speed, and flow, which is always the base of riding a wave. But on the technical side, yeah,
Hmm.
you want to see some good carving, both directions, front side, back side. You want to see people going fast into critical parts of the wave. Then you want to see those slides. You want to see them hit the wide water, and then you want to see airs. And that's how a perfect score can come together.
So for
And on
anybody
a
kind of
and on a,
listening in
and
that
on
wants to send in, yeah, send in
yeah.
videos, that those are pretty much the top tips that you'd recommend then.
Yeah, it depends obviously on the wave, but I would say in Dakhla, it's a good example. It's a high performance or high technical wave in terms of it's a long wave that's not super powerful, but it allows you to combine all these elements because it's that long. So there are parts of the
Mm,
wave that are
all
more
right.
powerful where you do like full speed carving, and then you can maybe slow it down and try to do some critical slides with the foil. And then you have sections in front of you that you know give you the lip to do the airs. So if you know
Hmm.
when to do what and combine all these, you get a high score.
Fair enough. And anything that we want to talk about the organizers of this one? Was it the same organizers as last year, or?
Yeah, it's the same organizer. It's a group that we've been working already on the kiting side with them for 10 years nearly, and they're very loyal to us. We have built a very strong relationship with them. They it's a hotel group that owns a couple of hotels in Dakhla, and they're really
Mm,
marketing all these hotels towards water sports. Not only wing foiling, kiting, windsurfing, but they see more and more how more and more important wing foiling gets. And yeah, we I don't want to go too far ahead, but we might even work already on a second event in Dakhla with other disciplines in the same year. So we might see
oh, interesting.
some more
Okay.
Morocco next year. Not only
Okay. A
waves.
little sneak peek. You looking forward to your next leg of the tour?
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to Brazil now in, well, I'll go in a week. The competition starts in end of next week in Ibiraquera, Brazil, which is our last event of the wave discipline where we crown our world champions. It's a new spot. I haven't been there myself yet either. I've been many times in Brazil, but I haven't been in Ibiraquera, which is in the south of Brazil. So it's where the waves are. So it's south of Florianopolis. Might ring a bell for a lot of people. It's about an hour and a half flight from Sao Paulo or Rio to the south. So it's considered to be probably the best wave spot for wind wave sports in Brazil, with good waves and wind. So it has a lot better waves than the north, but not as consistent winds. So it's a good combination, but it's one of the most popular spots in Brazil, with a lot of good riders coming out of the place. So we are really, really psyched to go there for the final and hopefully get good conditions. I mean, windsurf World Cups have been hosted there already, wave windsurf World Cups. Um, Kite events as well, not on the World Cup side, but on a national level, on continental level. It's an 8 days event, again, combined with the kite tour. So we're really looking forward to that one. Me personally, because I really like that region. It's very different to the north. Also, yeah, experiencing the place and getting to know the whole region of Florianopolis
Hmm.
and Ibiraquera. It's a spot that can have lefts or rights, so you can have actually both kind of conditions, and most likely it's going to be a left. So most of the time, it's a sand point that has a left and the right hand on the one side and on the other side, and depending which wind direction you can use the one or the other. And most likely it's a north wind, which will make the left-hander work, which is good because the first two events have been on right-handers this year. So we're going to switch it up to a left-hander for the last event, hopefully. But it can have winds from the south, and then it's a right-hander again. So then we're going to go have another right-hander. But let's see what the conditions gonna do. Like it's not a place that's windy every day. Um, but when it's windy, I think waves are there all the time, so it's more about the wind than the waves. But when it comes all together and it's quite consistent in that time of the year, we have an 8 days window. Then yeah, we'll get a good show, I'm sure. And then after that, we have the last event in Brazil, which is in Jericoacoara. It's also a new place on tour that we haven't been yet, but I think it's quite familiar to people who know Brazil. It's been this little hippie town where nobody's allowed to drive a car in the north part of Brazil, and there are no roads inside the town. You can only walk, and it kind of grow into a really hip and trendy place where now people from Rio and Sao Paulo, not only wingfoilers and windsurfers, and go and have parties and enjoy the Brazil life. It's a spot that can have waves as well. I mean, there we are running the surf freestyle discipline and the free fly slalom. Um, and the surf freestyle discipline is a spot that has actually waves as well. So it's most likely can be a combination of riding waves and freestyle, not only pure freestyle, which is always nice. And some free fly slalom as well. It's really good for downwinding that region too. The wind is fairly strong, so the further up in the north you go in Brazil, the stronger it gets. I mean, having 30, 25, 30 knots is pretty regular up there. And yeah, this is going to be in the last week of November. So, and in between, we have a couple of kite events. So, we're looking forward now to spend 6 weeks in Brazil with back to back events. Um,
Sweet. It's gonna be fun.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be fun. I hope so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know you're always swamped. Family gonna be able to come down with you?
No, not yet.
No?
Um,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
quite a trip to get there, and my son's still too small to put him on the plane for 35 hours. Don't want to do that yet.
Yeah. Whoa,
so,
35. Whoa.
so Yeah, from here, from
Holy
Mauritius. I mean,
man.
from Europe, it's not that far, but it's quite a trip. Maybe in the future years, I'll
Okay.
bring them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I hope to get some time riding myself too, while in Brazil, obviously.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. Definitely. Well, hey Tom, thanks for joining. Thanks for kind of catching us up. We're looking forward to chatting about the next two when those two get wrapped up. Any kind of highlights or any kind of final points that you want to put out there?
Well, yeah, I think I've said it already. I think for me, it was really interesting to wrap it up. It was to see a couple of new faces, especially ending up in the top ranks, having some fresh blood up there, and seeing even though the sport and the discipline especially is so young, it's mixing up really quick, and looking forward to see those people in the next events too. For me,
Mm-hmm.
this was one thing, and the other thing is that I was really amazed. Although we had really good conditions, but it maybe not as good as we had it last year. The show was crazy. The level we see right now is going so steep, and that also makes me curious what's going to happen in Iberakera, because Iberakera is like a half beach break. It's kind of a point that ends up into a beach break. The waves are a bit more powerful and can get big, but it will be a good mix, and I will see how the boys and girls can perform there. Obviously, who gets
Mm-hmm.
the world
Oh, looking
title?
forward to it. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. Yes, yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't know. Cash is close.
Yeah,
The man Cash is close, and that team at Armstrong, like, they're pushing hard.
they are pushing hard. Yeah, and it's been absolute shout out to Armstrong as well. Thanks for supporting the event in Dakhla. I think it's been awesome. What they do, and we'll keep pushing the tour with them together and with all the other brands too, obviously, in the
For
next
sure.
couple of events and years. And yeah, it looks like maybe in 2 weeks we're gonna crown two new world champions that never been world champions before. So that's
That's
exciting.
exciting stuff. All right, Tom, I'll let you get back to your managerial duties. I know you got a lot on the go today, but thanks everybody for tuning in for this one.
Thank you guys. See you soon.